Great, thank you, Tony. And just to repeat, as Alan said, seeing as I'm standing between you and lunch, I'll get into it fairly quickly and get through it as quickly as I can. I want to talk to you this afternoon, we are in the afternoon, just about the e-learning module that the NDA produced and launched last year, and really just give you a flavour for how you could use it within your organisations. Just for those of you who haven't had much exposure to e-learning before we talk about our own particular module, there are an awful lot of benefits available through using e-learning as a training methodology. It's not a panacea and it doesn't fix everything, but it certainly has some very specific benefits. There's very obvious cost savings involved. You're not booking rooms and arranging trainers and paying travel and expenses. There's good research showing more effective retention through e-learning because of the interaction and engagement that are inherent in the process. We've done a lot of work on our module, and it certainly is possible to make e-learning accessible to everybody, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And again, there's good research out showing learning compression, and this is really about people learning at their own speed, which often is faster than they would learn in a classroom with a number of other people, where really they're learning at the speed of the slowest person in the classroom. So through e-learning, they can really take things at their own pace, and that will often be faster than a classroom pace. And it also offers a lot more opportunities around managing the learning, around tracking people through assessments, and how they're getting on through the learning and using that data. Okay, so our NDA e-learning module, we produced this module. It's about 70, most users are taking between 75 and 90 minutes to get through the learning process. That's probably a little bit more than we expected. It's designed and aimed at the target audience is anyone working in Irish public bodies. So that's roughly 300,000 people that are working in the public sector in Ireland. We spent a lot of time and put a lot into work into keeping the language clear, plain, simple and short in editing it and cutting. We spent a lot of time cutting stuff out of it as well. And we've got pretty good feedback from end users, which I'll come back to later on, saying that I think that has worked. So it consists of, you'll see, I'll give you a couple of examples of it in a second, but it consists of the main theme running through it is a video case study of a young man with an intellectual disability going through the passport application process. So the kind of customer service process that you could relate to most of your organisations in terms of how you deal with customers or citizens indeed. People can pause and restart at will, so people can, chop that training duration into a number of different sessions if they want, can split it up, 3 or 4 or however many sessions they choose. And we can deliver it in a number of ways. It's available online and anyone can get at it today if they choose. We can also deliver it on CD, or indeed it could be made available on a memory stick. Or if you have a learning management system, so certainly a lot of third level institutions and some other larger public bodies have their own in-house learning management system, and we can deliver it on that as well. Okay, so just let you see a sample page. So this is kind of what it looks like. So you can see we've a bit of text on the left-hand side and we have a photograph on the right-hand side. And we've done that intentionally. We have a lot of imagery in the process, really just to lighten it and make it more engaging and more attractive. And this is actually the legislation page, and the photograph on the right is of the Custom House at night, very attractive photograph there. So you can see just the amount of text is fairly small. If we look at the Disability Act, which we're spending all day talking about, there's about 25 words on that, which isn't a lot on any one particular piece of legislation, but it's what your average frontline staff member will need. They don't need all the detail. They really just need to know that this act exists and is there. So that's the kind of thing that people will see as they're going through the training. We have assessment questions built into the training, so we've 10 questions really spread throughout the course. There are multiple choice questions so that the person sees a number of options and is able to get in and give their response. In some cases, there are multiple answer questions, so it's not just pick B, it's pick B and D, for example, being the correct options. And I have to say that's something that I think it's a learning for us. I probably wouldn't do that again, and we're actually looking at changing it. We have confused some people around that. But again, when you're rolling it out to your organisations, it's fairly easy just to prepare people for that experience. So users get 5 attempts to answer each question. If they get it wrong, they get fairly immediate feedback as to why it's wrong. And we've set a pass rate of 80%, so somebody needs to answer 8 out of 10 questions correctly to get the certificate, which they can print for themselves at the end of the course. And again, just to give you a quick example of how that looks, I'm just going to, you can see I'm using the navigation here, just using the next button to skip through a small number of pages. We'll come to page 14, has a question here. So it's a fairly straightforward question. I'll just read it out for the benefit of those who can't see the screen. So assessment question 2 says that Erin needs to change her appointment for a medical test. She has serious hearing loss and can't use the phone. How should the appointment be changed? And we have a number of options. So the first option is that Erin's mother should call to change the appointment. Second answer, that hospital staff shouldn't get involved in minor issues like this. Third answer, that the hospital should find a way for Erin to change her appointment by post or by email or by text message. And the fourth answer, that the hospital should arrange to install Minicom text phones on every desk. Any takers? Option A, show of hands. Erin's mother should change the appointment for her. Any takers? No? Okay, we're doing the Ask the Audience here in case you didn't realise that. Option B, hospital staff shouldn't get involved in minor issues like this. I'm sure they're all very busy. Any takers? Okay. Third option, the hospital should find a way for Erin to change her appointment by post or email or text message. Any takers? One or two, okay, or most people in the room. And the fourth option, hospital should arrange to install Minicom text phones on every desk. No takers, okay, not too practical an option there. So you can see that the questions just involve people thinking about what they've learned and how they can apply it. One public body was telling me, or the access officer was telling me, they overheard 2 people talking in the canteen about the question and the answer. And that's great. That's embedding this issue really into the organisation. So it's certainly become a point of conversation and gets people engaged in the process. Okay, so accessibility of the tool. We were kind of keen that we walk the talk on accessibility and that we don't just preach to you guys a lot, that we actually do it ourselves as well. So the tool was designed from the outset to be inclusive to a large range of users. And we went through a really useful process of testing by users with a range of disabilities and non-disabled users as well. And we did that they have a test lab in the NCBI. So there's people testing in one room and we're looking at the video of them using the tool and how it's working. And we're sitting behind the screen shouting at them going, press it, it's there, you can see it, you can see it. And then when the fourth person hasn't seen it, you go, yeah, now I know why they didn't see it. And the design was bad and you learn through that process. You can see the videos, and I'm going to show you one or two of them now, are all subtitled. They also have transcripts available for anyone who has hearing loss. And all the images, I mentioned one or two of them there, have a descriptive text as well with the image, just to, again, so that people with sight loss can be fully engaged. So I'm just going to show you one of the video. This is titled Jimmy's Story, and I'm just using the navigation bar here on the left. So we're up here just to jump forward in the learning. Okay, so see what you think of Jimmy's story.
Jimmy has been living with Parkinson's disease for 10 years. Let's hear what he has to say on the subject of Just Ask.
Well, I've had this Parkinson's for the last 10 years. It started when I woke up one morning and found it very difficult to breathe. And my doctor, after a few months, said to me, he said, you have a frozen face, so I think you may have a touch of Parkinson's. It's a very insidious disease in the sense that it's very slowly takes effect on you. And also, you have fluctuations up and down. My first problem was with my voice, and they had my speech to quite a lot of, to an extent. So it's quite an effort for me to talk. And that's the number of the problem with Parkinson's, to get people to really understand that it's not a simple disease, that it varies from person to person. You could have 10 people that you might meet in a day who have Parkinson's, and no two of them would be the same. Also, from one day to the other, the symptoms change. So that's why I say, if you want to help someone with Parkinson's, have patience with them. Be aware that no two Parkinson's patients have the same symptoms, and ask them. They appreciate being asked.
Okay, there's a good example of universal design there. We subtitled, as I mentioned, all the videos for people with hearing loss, but you can see the extra impact there. So in this case, where we're dealing with a person with a significant speech impediment, the subtitles have another impact and allow people to, to use it for that as well. As I mentioned, all the videos, you saw the subtitles, there's also a transcript available there, so the full text from the videos there, if somebody wants to go back and refer to it, or maybe play it through their own screen reader or something like that. And we've also, just to maximise the audience again, we've given an option to download the video. So if people want to play it, if they have their own video player installed on the laptop, they can play the file using their own video player rather than this embedded video player, which just might be more suitable for some people. So you saw Jimmy's story. We have a number of similar stories as we go through it, just from people with different types of disabilities, talking about what works for them in customer service situations and what doesn't work. And certainly my feel, just from watching The Room while the video was playing, is that really engages people. It's quite impactful where they hear a direct personal story like that. Okay, so now that you've seen it, and now that I should have said at the start that it's available for free, which is probably an important point, certainly to public bodies in Ireland. The question might be, why not? Why should we not go ahead and roll this out tomorrow? So I just wanted to mention some of the issues that have come up in other public bodies, really to give you a chance to get around these and prepare for these. So certainly it needs a PC with audio. As you've seen, video and the audio track on those videos would be a fairly fundamental part of the process, and not every PC in the public sector, as we're learning fast, comes equipped with that. There, different ways of addressing that. I know one public body bought in bulk small sets of earphones. I think it cost them €3 or €4 per unit, which to provide an hour and a half of training to somebody is a tiny, tiny cost. So that's what one organisation did. Other organisations have set up PCs in training rooms with speakers and things like that. So different ways of addressing that issue. We also had kind of an IR issue, an industrial relations issue, of some staff having concerns about an assessment outcome. And in the case that we dealt with was staff who probably wouldn't have gone through this kind of training before. These were in fact porters in a particular organisation who probably wouldn't have gone through this kind of classroom training before and were wondering, what's going on? If I don't pass the assessment, what does this mean for me or for my job? So that's really a communications thing. That's just about making sure people understand what the process is and how it's going to be used. We had some data privacy concerns, so again, people asking questions about, okay, so you're tracking, you know what people have passed and what people haven't, and what's going to happen to that information. So we have a very clear privacy policy set out on our website for the information that we host, so it's really clear how we use that information. And again, it's a communications issue. It's making sure people understand and get that as you roll it out to them. We have from time to time had certainly some issues, technical issues around particularly using video and using audio. They're largely addressable, and I suppose the one point I want to make is that, you know, people will probably have to go through maybe an internal negotiation process around rolling this out. That the solutions that you find to rolling out this tool, it's not about providing 1.5 hours of disability equality training. It's really about opening up a whole world of e-learning and other online services that are there. So if people have to invest on whether it's bandwidth or different screen types or speakers or whatever, you know, that investment isn't really about tying us to one e-learning tool. It's certainly a much bigger issue than that. Okay, so where do you go now? If you're thinking about using it within your organisation, would be good to think about a target audience, you know, finding a group, a division, a team, or a geographical area, whatever that may be, who you think would take to it nicely and where you would probably get a bit of senior management support and trying to get, you know, define a target audience. Test it out on your network and see how it works. You can do that when you go back tomorrow. It's open and available to the public. And just work out, have a think about, you know, what suits within your organisation, what previous training initiatives have been successful and how have they been successful, and what you need to do in terms of communicating this and rolling it out to make it successful. Decide, have a think in advance about how you're going to measure progress, you know, and how you're going to react. What are you going to do if after 3 weeks into your 6 weeks term, only 10% of your target audience have taken it up? Just have a bit of a plan in place for how you're going to communicate or chase or use line managers to roll it out and get people engaged. And then it's really a case of just giving people a bit of time and space to do their learning and letting them get on with it. So your mission today, should you choose to accept it, is when you get back to your office to go to elearning.nda.ie, a fairly short, simple and memorable web address, and just try it out for yourselves, preferably in your work environment. It would be available from home as well, but try it out in your work environment just to see, you know, how does it work in terms of audio and within your network and your browsers. And then, you know, have a think about how you'd like to use it in your organisation and come and talk to us. We can do a small amount of customising. So what we can do is kind of have a landing page or the first page that users will hit with your logo on it and with a little bit of descriptive text on it, maybe saying who is the access officer in your organisation or who is the senior manager who's committing to this initiative. So we can just put a little bit of that kind of text together at the front end. So come and talk to us about how we could set that up, and then we'll take it from there. And happy learning. Thank you.